Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into an absolutely fascinating deep dive into one of the most profound moral dilemmas you'll find in the ancient epic, the Ramayana. We're going to be exploring this intense, incredibly high-stakes tension between martial duty, the obligation of a warrior to actually fight, and the pursuit of pacifism. It's really this brilliant psychological study of how our environments and even the tools we carry can fundamentally reshape who we are. Let's get right into it with this chilling warning from Sita. She looks at Rama and says, "Do not carry war with you, or by small degrees your mind will alter." I mean, just think about how incredibly modern and universal that sounds, right? It perfectly frames the entire core of what we're looking at today. It begs the question, does carrying weapons, whether we're talking literal swords and bows or just figurative defenses, does it inevitably corrupt us? Does the mere presence of power just invite violence? Section 1. The cruel Dandaka wilderness, a landscape that forces moral compromise. Now, to really understand this debate, we have to look closely at their environment. The Dandaka forest isn't just some passive backdrop or, a pretty grouping of trees. No, it's an active, blood-soaked antagonist that is literally designed to force moral compromise. The sheer visceral horror in the source text is wild. It describes trees with branches twisted like the crooked hearts of evil men. The environment itself is aggressively hostile. There's this wavy, hot air that's so intense it actually curls the fallen bark right on the forest floor, and blackened grasses ringing these shrinking, thirsty little ponds. And, probably most terrifyingly, the locals warn them about literal mountains of white bones left behind by slaughtered victims. So this is the setting, a trackless, creaking wasteland that's going to relentlessly test our characters' morals. Section 2. Agastya's Heavenly Weapons, the temptation of immense power. Before braving the absolute worst of this wilderness, the trio stops at the hermitage of a tremendously powerful sage named Agastya. And this meeting is absolutely crucial because it acts as the catalyst for our central moral conflict. Agastya actually rejects Rama's old bow, basically saying the man who crafted it had an ill-at-ease mind. Instead, he replaces it with something terrifyingly perfect. He hands Rama a heavenly bow backed with diamonds and curving golden plates. And symbolically, you guys, these weapons represent a permanent contract. By accepting this unbreakable string and infallible silver and brass arrows that literally never ever need sharpening, Rama is taking on the inescapable, unyielding burden of war. He's being handed the capability for immense, world-shaking violence. But here is the catch. Right after handing over these absolute tools of mass destruction, Agastya offers this really beautiful, profound piece of wisdom. He says, "Demons do not love men, therefore men must love each other." He essentially sets up the ultimate paradox of our entire story here. He's arming Rama for a literal bloodbath, while simultaneously preaching a message of absolute compassion and unity. It's a philosophical trap, really, and it's one that Rama and Sita are going to have to navigate together. Section 3. Sita's warning against war. The ascetic's dharma. So this paradox erupts into a full-blown ethical debate when they encounter the Valakilyas. And in a rather surreal twist, these are 84,000 thumbnail-sized, peaceful saints floating in the air like motes of dust. It's an incredible visual. These tiny, completely helpless beings beg Rama for protection from the horrific demons of the forest. And this prompts Sita to lay out the ascetic's dharma. To try and convince Rama to abandon these new heavenly weapons, she tells this brilliantly insightful parable. She says that god Indra once wanted to ruin a peaceful hermit's merit, so he disguised himself and simply asked the hermit to hold on to a fine sword for safekeeping. That's step 1, the hermit keeps the sword. Step 2, well, he gets used to it and starts carrying it when he leaves home. Step 3, he eventually draws it. And step 4, he kills. Sita is arguing here that simply possessing the capacity for violence inevitably leads to violence. The tool shapes the master. Section 4. Rama's warrior duty, the martial law of protection. Now, Rama listens to his wife, of course, but he fundamentally disagrees. He takes a very pragmatic stance, arguing, look, I won't start any war. But he reminds her he's not an ascetic hermit. He's a warrior prince of Ayodhya. For Rama, everything comes down to one core concept: dharma, righteous duty. While Sita worries he's just giving in to this personal desire to feel powerful, Rama counters that true dharma demands he use his strength to protect the weak. He truly believes that misfortune and peril require a warrior to flame up in anger and resist. For him, ignoring the pleas of those 84,000 tiny saints, that would be his ultimate moral failure. So we are left with this profound dialectical clash. On side A, you have Sita's pacifism, the idea that the external tool corrupts the internal mind. Simply carrying weapons alters you. But then on side B, you have Rama's martial duty. To him, weapons are just tools. As he puts it, war's within us, it's nothing outside. He believes his internal righteousness controls his actions, completely governing his external use of force. It's honestly one of the most compelling debates in all of ancient literature, but, well, they're interrupted before they can even finish it.
Section 5. The Inevitability of Violence, the Test of the Dandaka Forest.
Yeah, they never actually get to finish their debate because the harsh reality of the Dandaka forest basically forces their hand. The environment doesn't care at all about their philosophical musings. Suddenly, bursting right out of the dark, spiny trees, a massive red demon named Varaha ambushes them. The text describes him with spear-like ears, a mouth from ear to ear, and he just grabs Sita, literally lifting her up into a tree. And here's the crazy part. Rama's regular arrows bounce right off him. So they are forced into this horrific close-quarters violence, breaking the demon's arms, beating him to the ground, digging a massive hole, and literally burying him alive under rocks. The savage environment itself forces Rama to blur that line between righteous duty and horrific violence. And from there, the escalation of war is just staggering once they settle upon Chavati. Just look at the timeline of this single day. In the morning, a demon named Supernaka demands Rama's love and then physically attacks Sita out of pure jealousy. Moments later, Lakshmana brutally retaliates by cutting off her ears. Shortly after that, her commander, General Kara, launches a massive counterattack with an entire Rakshasa army. And by the end of the battle, Rama uses his heavenly arrows to annihilate the entire legion completely alone. It all happens in a flash, and it seemingly proves Sita's warning that carrying weapons triggers this unstoppable chain reaction of war. We really need to pause on this number for a second. 14,000. That is the staggering number of Rakshasa warriors that Rama massacres single-handedly in basically half a moment. The text says his golden arrows sweep the sky like yellow lightning. There's zero escape. To put that into perspective, the sheer scale of this slaughter is breathtaking, illustrating the absolute devastating power of Augusta's gifts. Rama is no longer just protecting a few floating hermits here. He has become an army of one, dealing death on an apocalyptic scale.
And we have to ask, what does this righteous violence actually achieve? Well, the aftermath is catastrophic. A mutilated Surpanaka flees directly to Lanka, straight to the ultimate evil of this world, the demon king Ravana. She tells him all about the total destruction of his garrison, but to guarantee he actually gets involved, she tempts him with wild descriptions of Sita's unparalleled beauty. So Rama's violent defense of his dharma has now directly invited the gaze of the absolute most dangerous entity in the universe. Which brings us to the ultimate question I want to leave you with today. I really want you to think about this. Did Rama fulfill his noble martial duty by ridding the forest of these demons, thereby protecting the innocent? Or by accepting those heavenly weapons and unleashing such a massive slaughter, did the Dandaka forest actually corrupt him, exactly as Sita warned? Does possessing the power to destroy inevitably make us destroyers? It's a profound question from an ancient text that honestly resonates just as powerfully today. Thank you so much for joining us on this explainer, and keep questioning the world around you.